Hi there and welcome to Working Stress-Free. And in this video series, I'm going to be sharing with you some immediately applicable ways that you can use in your business to help to reduce stress, help your people to cope and to be more resilient. I'm guessing that you are an HR executive, maybe an HR director, managing director, or an entrepreneur, and you've been Googling looking for ways to increase productivity, performance, profitability, help your staff to cope, be more resilient, to retain valuable talent and to attract valuable talent to your business. Well, if that's you, you've come to just the right place. My name's Steve Crabb, and in this series, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I've coached and trained literally thousands and thousands of people over the last 20 years. I've trained thousands of doctors, coaches, and therapists. Now, I'm not going to be coaching and sharing with you therapy. It's not about therapy. These videos cover immediate applications that you can use straight away in your business to improve well-being generally. Now, I want to give you a little bit of a backstory as to how this came about, how you can use it, and how you can implement it in your own workplace. As I say, the first 10 years, it was mainly therapy, working with people to deal with generally mental health issues. And back in 2008, do you remember those days? You know, the credit crunch. There was a whole load of uncertainty and a whole load of change, and a lot of people were coming to me because they were stressed and they were anxious. And I decided to focus on my real passion, which is business. And back in those days, people were struggling and striving. And I've personally been a director and worked through 3 different recessions. And each one of those recessions, for me, as far as I was concerned, was an opportunity. When others are struggling and striving, those of us that are able to navigate our way through all the political, economic, social, and technological changes that happen, we tend to do well. So I was working with lots of corporate people, and basically, most people, when they want to improve their business, they're looking to do a couple of things. So I want you to imagine business is a bucket. The bucket, we pour money into it. We do that by providing our services and our products. And what people want is either more money coming in, quicker, bigger denominations, a steadier flow of predictable revenue, and they want to make sure that what's left in the bucket after they've paid out all their costs, overheads, expenses, that what's left gets bigger and bigger. Now, the challenge with this is a lot of people, they focus on growing the business, but what they're not aware of is that in every single bucket, if you turn the bucket up and have a look at the bottom, there are 2 holes. They all come under the label of stress. The 2 holes are called mindset and policies and procedures. If the policies and procedures you have, the working practices, aren't efficient and effective, you end up losing valuable revenue. Mindset is where people are thinking in a particular way, where they're stressful, they're not being efficient, they're not being effective, and it's another way of losing money. So what I'm going to show you in this 6-part series are ways to plug those 2 holes that will enable you to not only create a workplace where people are happier to work, but also where you're not losing valuable revenue. It'll enable you to flourish and thrive while other people are struggling and striving, especially in times of uncertainty. Now, I don't know if, like me, you've been glued to the TV watching season 1 of the Bretflix original series, Life of Brexit, where we have to watch the popular front of Brexit arguing with the not so popular front of Brexit about what have the Europeans ever done for us. And there's a whole lot of uncertainty going on at the moment, isn't there? I'm hoping in season 2 what's going to happen is we're going to find David Cameron having a shower and dreaming about Nigel Farage and realizing that it was all a dream, and actually he went out to Europe and negotiated everything that was needed just to keep industry running smoothly. So we're not going to get into remain or leave conversations. There's enough of that going on. The situation at the moment is one of uncertainty and one of change. And what happens is humans, when we're in situations of uncertainty and change, we have this incredible propensity to go inside our minds and to basically make stuff up, to imagine the what ifs. When we do that, we're inside our heads thinking, we're creating the emotional feeling of stress. So I'm going to give you a different definition of stress, something for you to just reflect upon. And it's going to be the premise for the whole of this series. Stress is when the world doesn't do what you'd like it to do. Okay, now that's not my definition. I heard that definition for the very first time from my mentor, Dr. Richard Bandler, the co-creator of NLP. It was on an NLP training, and someone said to Dr. Bandler, what do you think about stress management? And in typical Dr. Bandler style, it was funny and very, very, insightful. He said, I think that's a good decision. Stress the management. Get them to pay attention to what's going on and to make the adjustments. He said, and by the way, stress doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's not real. It's just simply when people believe and imagine that the world doesn't act the way they would like it to do. And the world has a habit of not doing that. So that's the first thing I'd like you to really let in and just reflect. It's when the world isn't operating the way we'd like it to do. And that happens all the time. In business, it's constantly changing. There are political changes, there are economic changes, there are social changes, and there are technological changes. They're called pests for a reason. Life would be fantastic if everything just stayed the same and we had a model that kept working regardless of what's going on. But that's not reality. So in this series, I'm going to coach you and teach you how to be flexible, how to make the adjustments so that your staff are more able to deal with the changes in the world without feeling any of the overwhelm. Sounds good? Now, when you watch the series, you need to watch it with a particular attitude. And the attitude I want you to have is one of open-minded curiosity. And the reason is, some of the things I'm going to share with you, you might find a little bit provocative, a little bit even controversial. However, I want you to get this. They work. They work in practice. I've used them with, as I've said before, thousands and thousands of individuals and hundreds of companies. But they are different to what most people do. So let me give you an example of how to approach this. I want you to imagine that everybody in your workplace goes into work on a daily basis and they have to regularly wash their hands. So you have a tap, okay? And you turn on the tap and the water that comes out is scalding hot. But you have to use the tap. It's part of the daily process at work. Everyone has to use it. So what will happen is a couple of things. Either you will develop a coping strategy for dealing with that scalding hot water. You'll either, get your hands wet, get the soap, lather your hands up, rinse them very quickly. You'll find a way to cope with the stress, with the heat that's coming out of the tap. You might build up some calluses, some resistance. Over time, as you keep scalding yourself, you get blisters and it's painful, but then eventually you'll build up some resistance to the heat. Alternatively, what you might do is you might go, do you know what, I'm going to avoid this. That's a strategy when things are too hot, just avoiding it. And there'll be some people that go, do you know what, I'm not doing this, I'm off, I'm out. And that's what happens in businesses when people are looking and experiencing stress. They'll find ways to cope, they'll find ways to be resistant and to be a little bit more resilient. They'll find ways to avoid, or they'll basically go, I'm out of the game. And that's when you lose valuable talent, when they go, I'm too stressed, I'm gone. And that's happening a lot at the moment because, where I work at the moment, I'm surrounded by recruitment companies. These guys have never been so busy. The reason is because people are literally looking around for better jobs because they're going, I'm done with this. And also it's a buyer's market. So in this video series, I'm going to teach you how to make sure that whatever you do, you retain your valuable talent. Now, let's go back to the taps. Imagine that most people are spending their time trying to adjust the temperature, but they can only adjust it so much, or they're trying to adjust the water flow. That's what most people are doing in HR when it comes to addressing stress. They're looking at the policies and procedures, which literally just fiddling with the red tap. What I'm going to teach you is something different, something new. Imagine this. Someone comes to you and says, by the way, guys, I can see you've been doing this for a long, long time. Look at this. It's a blue tap. And what happens is when you make this adjustment, suddenly you don't need the coping, you don't need the resilience, you certainly don't need the avoidance. I'm going to teach you about the blue tap option. The things I'm going to show you are very different to what most people are traditionally doing. And there's a reason why it has to be different. The Health and Safety Executive in 2007 brought out the management standards. If you're in HR, you'll know all about those. So for nearly 12 years, there have been tools and strategies and techniques out there that you can use to help to reduce stress. So how's that working? Well, according to the HSE itself, in October 2018, they brought out a report. And look at this report. The stress statistics haven't changed much. So it means that whatever people have been doing isn't working. That's why a new approach is needed. That's why keep an open mind, experiment with the things I'm going to be teaching, experiment with the things I'm going to be sharing with you. They're very different to just fiddling with the red tap. They are approaching it in a new, novel, different way. It will only work if you have an open mind and you're willing to experiment and try it out for yourself. Now, before I go into explaining what the different videos are all about and how you're going to benefit by watching them, I want to give you a very quick backstory as to why I'm actually doing this. As I say, I've been coaching for 20 years. I've been in the front line, in the trenches, working with people who, some people have just got to the end of their tether. And turned the focus into business in 2008. And in 2012, I was approached by one of my proteges. And they just secured their dream job as an HR director for a large accountancy company. And the reason they got the job was because the previous director was stressed and left. And the company was making 50 people redundant. Okay, this is 2012. We were in the credit crunch, still in the recession time. And she contacted me and said, would you be willing to do some coaching and training to help these people to deal with the change process? So I went, I'm interested. So flew out to see the company, sitting in the boardroom meeting, discussing the nature of the program. And one of the people in the meeting room said, hold on a sec, it's just occurred to me that we could be creating a lot of problems for ourselves here. You know, we're making 50 people redundant, but we're putting all this effort into helping these people, and we're really making, you know, the redundancy a big, big issue. And I actually stopped the meeting and I said, look, if you see an old lady walking along the road and she spills her shopping, do you go and help her because it's the right thing to do? Or do you help her because somebody's watching? I said, if this is just a brand protecting exercise, count me out. I'm not interested. If you're genuinely interested in being of service and helping your people, I'm in. I said, I'm going to leave you to think about that because I kind of don't need your work. So left them to think about that. And then something happened over the course of the weekend. News got out about the redundancy, and one of the junior accountants, one of the people who was last in, so he was going to be first out in terms of the redundancy. So he was in the accountancy section of this business. He took his own life. Basically, he had got this new job. He got himself into debt because he thought he was going to be there for years to come. And he didn't see a future. And he took the, well, again, one of Dr. Richard Bandler's phrases said, you know, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And he tragically took his life. Now, I know that if I'd have had an hour coaching with that young man, with some degree of certainty, he would still be around. And I can say that because of the hundreds of people I've worked with that either wanted to commit suicide because life had transformed so much that they couldn't see a future. And the people that I've worked with who, unfortunately and tragically for them, people they know they'd passed on. Now, I don't want to get too grim about this, but stress and uncertainty and change, there's a human cost to it. You know, I see it every time I get to work with somebody, the pain and the suffering they go through, and the negative impact it has not just on the workplace, but on their lives. So the reason I put this series together is because I know that if I'm sitting and working with someone, it will make a difference. And I want to get this work out there to as many people as possible. So watch, listen to learn, take the information in, but go and put it into practice. And I'm sure you'll find that it will have a transformative effect on your business. You know, we don't need any more people out there getting so overwhelmed, having breakdowns, or even thinking that, you know, there's only one solution out of this. Yeah, you know, this is not needed. Okay, so, you know, again, I'm getting a bit too heavy with this. Let's keep it a little bit lighter. You know, this sort of stuff makes a difference. So embrace it, try it out, engage in it, and put it into practice. And hopefully, you'll be creating a workplace where people, they won't be living in fear, they won't be living in anxiety, they won't be living in uncertainty. Nothing externally may have changed, but the way they're processing it will be very, very different. Okay, so let's lighten the mood a little bit. I'm going to now quickly go through the 6 videos. They'll be coming out weekly, and if you do want to see them all in one go, simply go to the website, just register your details, and you'll be able to access them all anytime you want. First video, I'm going to be focusing on the 20% that makes the biggest difference. As an entrepreneur, I want maximum return, minimum effort. I'm always interested in optimization, efficiency, and effectiveness. So the first video is the 20% that makes the biggest difference, which will be mindset. And I'm going to explain why it's mindset and not policies and procedures in the video. The second video is something which is going to be so essential for you to really master if you're in the HR business, which is calculating the cost of stress to your business, getting a real sense of what it's actually really costing yourself, so you can make a business case for it, because then that way you'll be able to get the funds that you need to make any of the changes that need to be made. Okay, now the third one is what I call the 3 stress monkeys. Have you ever gone to go and do something, make a change, and you know it's going to be good for you, it's going to be positive, you really want to do it, but for some reason you kind of just didn't get there? You either self-sabotaged or there was resistance. Have you ever had that experience? Well, it's a normal, natural human experience, okay? And that process of self-sabotage and resistance shows up in business, and it can get in the way of really great strategic plans ever either getting launched or ever being as effective as they could be. So in the third video, I'm going to be dealing with the 3 stress monkeys, things that you may not even be aware of, and most people in your business won't be aware of, but you need to become aware of them so they don't happen. Okay. In video 4, I'm going to look at the importance of having a snapshot, taking a snapshot of where you are now, so you get a sense of where it is that you're going, so you can look at the difference between the two and how to do that. In video 5, we're going to be looking at the importance of whatever you do, whatever strategic plan you put in place, the importance of testing it, and testing it. Whenever I'm coaching with anybody, we do some things, they go away and try some things, and they come back and report on the difference. So that way we can make the adjustments. So we make adjustments, we feed forwards, get the feedback, make the adjustments so we can feed forwards again. And that's so important when you're putting together any strategic plan. And then in video 6, we're going to go into even more detail the whole subject of mindset. And again, as I said before, it's not about therapy, but I'm going to share with you some really powerful techniques, the sort of things that I've worked with people on a one-to-one basis, done on TV, even done on radio. And these will be things that you can use immediately for yourself. You can test them, you can try them for yourself, and you can teach them to other people. You can share the information with other people, because I'm putting this all out there for free. As I said to you, I want to impact positively as many people as possible. So happy for you to share, and happy for you to disseminate, and happy for you to let anybody else that you know, when you get to that mindset section with some of the techniques, if you feel that they really need a bit of a help, share the techniques with them. Now, as well as the 6 videos, there are additional resources that you can use. There are ebooks, there are recordings, there's a whole bundle of free resources that will help you with this one objective, which is to make the workplace as stress-free an environment as we possibly can. So listen, I'm going to keep it short. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you want the series in one go straight to the website, just simply register your details and you'll be able to access it straight away. And please do give me some feedback, on what you've seen, what you've tried. If you've got any questions whatsoever, please ask. I will answer personally. If you've got any comments or any observations, and if you've got questions, if there's subjects where you go, I'd like to know a little bit more about this particular subject, please ask, because I'm happy to put another video together, because if you've got those questions, I'm pretty sure other people will have as well. So once again, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Please deep dive into it. Hope you find it useful, and I do wish you a well-being future. So Take care. Be well.